Hey y'all, I feel like I haven't sat down and just filmed a normal video in so fucking long, and honestly, I'm so glad that it's just back to normal. I'm so glad that I'm reading scary stories today, and I never thought that I would be happy to say that. Like, I never thought that I would be relieved to scare the shit out of myself. Nar just woke up from his nap. I thought he was gonna sleep longer because normally he sleeps for like 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the day. And I was getting ready and I was like, okay, this is perfect because I can film my video and he'll be like sleeping. And he was so needy this morning. I'm gonna ramble about my cat for like 2 seconds, I promise. And then we're gonna get into the stories because I know you guys are sick of like my absence and you just want your spooky scary story time. But he was so needy this morning. Like, I was trying to do my hair and he just kept meowing like so loud at me, and I was like, I don't know what you want. Like, I cleaned his litter box, I got him food, I gave him treats, I played with him. I was like, I don't know what the problem is, but like he just wanted to like hang out. He just wanted to be held. But things are going great. I love Nar. I love my little child. You know what's funny? I told you I'm gonna ramble about my cat, and I'm gonna ramble about my cat. He likes watching TikToks, which is kind of cool. I was on my phone last night, or like the last couple nights. I mean, I always sit on TikTok when I'm laying in bed. It's like my nighttime routine. And he likes to get up on my shoulder and look over my shoulder to watch the TikToks with me. He's like intrigued. And he also knows when I'm on FaceTime with John, because we FaceTime every single day, and whenever he hears John's voice, he's like, Dad? But it's funny. And so he likes watching TikToks, he likes watching things on my computer, on my TV. It's so weird, but we bonded over TikTok, didn't we, Nar? But hey y'all, I'm back and I have more Let's Not Meet stories that I'm really excited to read. I know I told you guys that I would read paranormal stories soon, and clearly that's not a thing that happened because I suck at keeping my word. But I found these stories a while ago because I haven't uploaded in a hot minute, and I had this video already planned. I was like, I'm gonna read stories about this. And so I picked out some stories and I sent them to myself, and I never filmed the video. So I'm gonna do that today. This might be kind of interesting because I have been reading more of the Let's Not Meet stories like prior to the video. And so I don't remember what any of these are about, but they're about hotel rooms, like scary encounters at hotels. I don't know. I think with this one, I saw one story like on the front page of Let's Not Meet, and then I was so intrigued by it, I'm like, okay, I just have to find more hotel stories. Okay, this one says the hotel basement. This happened in the summer of 2010, when I was just entering my teenage years. My family took a trip to a really nice hotel in the city. Can't really remember why we decided to take the trip, but I remember a lot of family friends coming with and staying in adjacent rooms. I've never asked my parents, and it's not really important to the story. To preface, I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, and always have been. I'm a pretty skinny, fragile kid, so I get spooked pretty easily even now. I feel that. This, however, was almost definitely not me freaking myself out like I normally did. Looking back, I'm incredibly lucky I trusted my instincts. I don't remember this at all. And I'm pretty sure this is the one that I found that like inspired me to do hotel stories, and I don't remember. This hotel had a strange design to it. The lobby was actually on the 4th floor, not the bottom floor, which I found strange. To access the lobby, you had to use the elevator. There was no way for you to get to it from the stairs. This information would have been nice before everything happened, as you'll find out. The hotel was organized in a square shape. Every floor was lined with a balcony, and you could look down into the lobby and cafe area from your floor. Essentially, if you were walking to your room, you could be seen from anybody who was on your floor if they just stepped out of the room and looked around. I was always afraid I would fall over my balcony and sail down 8 stories to my death, but they were high enough to a point where I wasn't too concerned for my safety. The first day or two was nice. My friends and I hung out and played cards all day, or we watched whatever was on TV. At night, we would explore the halls of the hotel and tell each other ghost stories. It was a really fun time, even though I didn't fully understand why we were there. On the 3rd day, though, things got strange fast. I woke up to the sound of a screaming coming from outside my door. Okay, I remember the story now. Now, because of the hotel's design that I mentioned, sounds from the lobby would echo all the way up to the top of the building. So when I walked outside to investigate, I immediately looked over the balcony to see what the commotion was about. I saw a girl laying on the ground, eggs and milk splattered everywhere around her. People were rushing to help her, and I heard a couple people telling each other to call 911. It seemed like the girl was unconscious. Maybe she had passed out or something. Nar's playing with the toy, and I'm not taking it from him. I can't do that. He's gonna play, and you're gonna hear like a little rattle in the background. Suck it up. I scanned the lobby and saw that my family and a couple of friends were in the lobby getting breakfast, all staring at the event in front of them. I decided I would rush down to meet them to find out what had happened. The elevator was on the opposite side of my floor, so I took the stairwell located right next to my room. We were on the 7th or 8th floor, so I knew I only had to take 4 flights down. Not a big deal. I descended for a little while, looking for the number 4 on the wall or the letter L. I passed floor 5, ready to find a door to the lobby. I took about 2 more flights of steps before realizing that there hadn't been a door for the 4th floor, nor had there been a door for the 3rd or 2nd. That's very dangerous. Like, what if there's a fire? Everyone tells you not to use elevators in case of a fire. How are you supposed to leave? I mean, wait, do you exit through the 4th floor? How are the people in the lobby supposed to... Get out. This is dangerous. Now at this point, I probably should have turned back, but I continued down because I was tired and didn't want to climb back up. There were some weird side hallways that went into pitch black areas with a bunch of piping and wiring, and though I was curious to explore, I passed them by. I quickly hit the bottom floor, a dimly lit and cold room with cinder block walls and concrete floors. In front of me was a set of double doors. I hesitated at first, but I assumed that this was just another way back to the lobby, so I opened them and entered. Behind the doors was a massive warehouse-type room, probably the size of a smaller basketball stadium. The only light coming in was from the stairwell behind me, so I wasn't really able to see much. Stairs were stacked and covered in plastic wraps, tables lined the walls, and in the distance, I thought I could see boxes stacked and lined against the wall as well. It was probably the storage room for the hotel. I looked around and saw an elevator in the back of the room, so I made my way towards it. I closed the door to the stairwell and began to walk in the dim light. The room was super muggy and dusty, and it seemed like nobody had been down there for a long time. Nar, you're gonna freak me out. You know that? You're gonna freak me the fuck out. As I got closer to the elevator, I noticed it was a little bigger than the elevators in the lobby and other floors. I pressed the up button, but got no response. There was a card swiper next to the button. Must have been for employees only, I thought. I turned back towards the stairwell doors, making my way past the chairs and tables along the wall. When I got to the door, I gave it a tug. Locked. Of course. This is when things started to hit me, and I realized I was stuck in the dark, dusty basement of a hotel. I didn't have a phone because my parents wouldn't let me get one until I graduated middle school, so I couldn't call anyone. Everyone likely assumed I was still asleep in my room, so I began to freak out, believing that nobody was going to look for me. I searched around the warehouse looking for other ways out. Some areas of the place were better lit than others, so I looked around in the areas I could see before starting on the darker side of the room. There was one other set of doors that I found, but it happened to be locked as well. I began to cry, scared that nobody would ever find me in this basement. I swear it felt like hours, but I think only a handful of minutes passed by before I heard the door creak open. It wasn't the door from the stairwell, rather the second door that I had found. A slim, middle-aged man in a lab coat came out of the doors. Now, if this was 21-year-old me seeing this man, I would be very confused as to why he was wearing a lab coat in a hotel. I was only 12 or 13 at the time, so I was immediately relieved at the sight of an adult who looked smart. I approached him, tears in my eyes, and he immediately looked surprised to see me, as you would expect. "What are you doing down here?" he yelled. "I got lost on my way down to the lobby and I've been locked in here. Do you have a key?" I was shaking, eager to get out of there. He didn't answer my key question, and instead he said, "I know a way out of here. Follow me." He began to walk towards the doors with the stairwell, and I followed, relieved that somebody had finally come to save me. We approached the doors and I began to reach the handle, but he continued walking. "Isn't it right here?" I asked him. I will never forget the look on his face when I said that. He looked nervous, and though it was dim, I could see sweat glistening from his forehead and behind his glasses. "No, this way," he said sternly. I continued to follow him, but I was now nervous myself. We had passed the door to the stairs and were now headed towards the darker side of the basement, away from the elevators. He looked like he had no clue where he was leading me, as he kept checking around him, almost as if he was taking his surroundings in for the first time. We turned a corner and began walking towards the boxes, a dead end. I immediately froze, realizing that something was very, very wrong. This guy had no idea where he was going, nor did he appear to work at the hotel. I said, my voice shaking, "Okay, where are we going?" He turned around and said, "This way, just follow me." I knew there were no doors by the boxes. I had checked there first after I found out the stairwell door was locked. I want to thank whatever God is up there for gifting me with the idea I had next. I started yelling, as loud as I could. I yelled so loud I gave myself a headache. The man, irritated and plugging his ears, began yelling back at me. "What are you doing? Be quiet." Can you imagine this man's like trying to kid you? He's like, "Shut up!" I continued to yell. I don't even remember how long I was yelling. Finally, the man snapped and began quickly walking towards me. I went in a full sprint towards the stairwell doors, hoping to God they would somehow be magically open. He didn't run after me. He walked sternly behind me, muttering things like "stupid fucker" and other kind compliments. I was about 5 feet from the door when somebody burst through. My savior, a hotel janitor who had heard the screaming from the stairwell. He saw the situation, me and some random guy in a lab coat in a locked basement, and immediately told me to get behind him. The janitor asked me who the man was. I said I had no idea, that he had come in through the doors on the other side of the room, and I pointed to the door. The janitor quickly radioed into the front desk that he had found a child in the basement, and quietly, so I wouldn't hear, he said, "This man came from outside, get security," or something like that. The man in the lab coat started trying to argue with the janitor, claiming that he simply was looking for the bathroom. The janitor clearly wasn't buying it and kept saying things like, "Wait till security gets here and talk to them about it." I was standing beside him the whole time, trying to take in what was happening, confused out of my mind. Eventually, an employee from the front desk arrived and took me back up the steps to the lobby, where I met with my family, who surprisingly had no idea I was missing. I told them the story, crying and shaking, and they hugged me tightly. thanking the employee over and over again for their help. I never got to thank the janitor though. Looking back now, I have absolutely no clue what that man was doing in the basement. I don't have any information as to what happened afterwards or who he was. I know for a fact that the incident with the girl in the lobby was unrelated, something about low blood sugar. I thought about that day a lot, and the only explanation I can put together is that the door I had found in the basement led to the streets of the city where he must have wandered in from. I have no clue what his intentions were, why he was wearing a lab coat, or why he chose to pretend to know a way out. To be frank, this could have been a huge misunderstanding of some sort, and I just chose a really bad time to get lost. But all I know for sure is if I hadn't screamed my lungs out, I might not have been telling the story the same way or at all. So strange man in a lab coat wandering around a dark, dusty hotel basement, let's not meet. Honestly though, the janitor, he deserves a raise, he deserves a promotion. Make him the manager of the hotel. I said it. Go tell them that I said to make him the manager. He owns the hotel now. You can't argue. This next one I remember very clearly because it freaked me out. It freaked me out a lot. It says a strange man tried to drag me into his hotel room. Why is there always a light on my face? It's only like one. What is it? I was staying at a West Inn in Atlanta. It's not a St. Regis, but it's not a Motel 6 either. I stay at hotels a lot, and I generally think of them being safe places. On the day of this event, I was terribly hungover. So hungover that I could barely get out of bed, but I had a hair appointment that I'd already made a 50% deposit on, so I essentially had to pull myself together. I threw up several times before I got there, however, I eventually made it. Afterwards, I threw up on my way back. It was that bad. That's pretty much me every time I drink. I could like sniff alcohol and just be completely hungover the next day and throwing up. When I made it back to the hotel, it was between 5 and 6 p.m. It wasn't even nightfall. I got on the elevator to go to my room and it was packed with people. I was visibly sick, sweating, and trying to prevent myself from throwing up in a crowded elevator. I couldn't hold it in long enough to make it to my floor, so I got off at the first chance. I was on my knees puking in a trash can by the elevator before the doors even closed. While puking, I noticed a man hovering behind me. He was well dressed and about 45 to 50. Out of embarrassment, I apologized for throwing up in public between heaves. He said, "I saw you on the elevator, but I didn't realize we were on the same floor." Still puking, I informed him that I wasn't on this floor. He told me he was going to get me some help. Attempting to decline his offer, he just grabbed me by the elbow, pulled me from the ground, and started quickly dragging me down the hall. How was that helping? I was really out of it and didn't understand what was happening for about 15 seconds. By then, we were nearly halfway down the hall. I quickly realized that housekeeping had gone home for the day. There was no staff or patrons on the floor that I could see. I started getting really loud and he stopped dragging me. Still, he didn't release me, so I kind of had to wiggle away. I ran back to the elevator and got on. Just before the door closed, he put his arm in and boarded the elevator with me. I pressed the button to my floor and he got off with me. My room was at the end of the hall. I quickly walked back to my room, got the key to open the door and tried to close it, only to find that his foot was blocking me to do so. I can't with this story. I scared Nora because I got really loud. Nora, I'm scared. What the fuck? What the fuck? A small struggle that lasted about 8 seconds ensued. I eventually was able to close the door and put the security latch on it. Then I slid to the floor and started crying. As you should. Who was this man? Why was he doing this? If he wanted to help me, why didn't he? What was he trying to do? I don't know, but I certainly hope that we never meet again. Did you call the police? Like, did you tell anyone? I hate when people just end their stories like that because I have so many questions. Did you call the front desk? Did you ever see this man again? How long were you staying at this hotel? Was he actually staying at the hotel? Why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you tell security? Why didn't you do something about it? Was he sitting at your door? Did he keep knocking at your door? Did he run away? What happened? What did he do? Where did he go? Huh? Okay, this one says, woke up to a staring man in our hotel room. 2 years ago, my husband and I flew to LA for a getaway weekend. We stayed at a boutique hotel off of Sunset. It's more of a hipster type place. Not normally somewhere I'd stay, but it was nice, clean, and had a good vibe. We met up with our friends who live in LA, and we went out for dinner and drinks. It was a late night, and we came back to the hotel. I was exhausted and jet lagged. It was 1:30 a.m. or something like that. My husband's a very deep sleeper. I'm an extremely light sleeper, except when I've had a bunch of drinks, which I definitely consumed that night, so it was lights out for both of us very quickly. Around 3 a.m., I only know the time after everything has happened, I wake up suddenly and open my eyes. There's a light on in our room. The room had been totally dark when we went to bed. The light came from the doorway, which illuminated the silhouette of a man standing at the foot of the bed. Just standing there, staring. For a moment, I'm speechless, confused, and also slightly intoxicated. I haven't yet moved. My reaction is delayed, and then the stark fear and reality kick in. I gasp and say, "What the fuck?" The man was wearing a red plaid shirt and had dark hair and a beard. I couldn't make out his features, as my eyes were adjusting to waking up, and the lighting that illuminated him shadowed half of his face. The man says, "I need to speak with Drake." I know this may sound somewhat comical, but I assure you at the time it was fucking terrifying. I screamed, "Get the fuck out," which jolts my husband awake, who immediately sits up and sees the man at the foot of our bed. My husband is 6'5", which may not be evident given half of his body's underneath the bedding, but either way the man responds, "Sorry, wrong room," and bolts out, slamming the door behind him. Who's Drake? And how did he... I need answers. Like, all of these stories, that's not the end. That's not, actually, I'm gonna keep reading and then I'll ask all my questions. My husband jumps up and runs for the door, but I stop him from going outside into the hallway. Who knows if the man's waiting out there, trying to lure him out, or whether there are other men out there ready to pounce. I keep looking through the peephole, but I don't see anything. At this point, we're both shocked and in disbelief and probably still drunk. We call down to the front desk, no one answers. We call repeatedly, and still no one answers. We contemplate what to do, and around 20 minutes later, we decided to get dressed and go down to the front desk. There's an employee at the front desk, and there's also a bar in the lobby. My husband walks around to see if he can spot the guy who was in our room, and as he's searching, I go up and start telling the guy from the front desk what happened. As I begin the story, I burst into tears. I realize how shaken up I am. The employee gets the manager, and he asks me what time the man came into the room, etc. But I don't know how long he was standing there, until I woke up and saw him. I think he must have been there a long time for me to just wake up. My husband comes back empty-handed. We go back up to the room. The next day, the manager calls and says there wasn't anything on the security cameras. I didn't believe him. He offers us one free night at the hotel as compensation, even though he claims he didn't see anything. We take the free night because what else is there to do? We just want to go about the rest of our mini vacation. But why was this man in our room? Why did he have a working key? But the thought I have the most trouble with, what would have happened if I hadn't woken up? Our door was locked, but clearly somebody had a duplicate key card. Here's what I've learned. If you don't already, always put the deadlock on your hotel room door. It's something we never thought to do, and now I always check it. Twice. I guess honestly she kind of asked all the questions that I was gonna ask. How did this man get in your room? And who's Drake? And how long was he because if he was just like looking for his friend and he like thought it was their room or something, why was he just standing there staring? And he's like, "I need to talk to Drake, like something happened, I need to talk to him." Wouldn't he like wake them up and be like, "Hey yo, Drake"? Or where's Drake? Like, I don't know. Why was he just staring at them? He's like, "I don't want to wake him up. I'll feel bad. So I'll just wait for Drake to wake up." Fucking weirdos. Fucking scary. Okay, this will be the last one that I read, and it just says, "Creepy hotel stalker. This primarily happened to my mom, but it's badly affected me mentally. She wanted me to post this to give people a heads up that you can encounter creeps literally anywhere. This is going to be long-winded, I'm sorry, but I wanted to get in every detail possible. This happened last month, and we still don't actually know what happened with Jeremy in the end." I'm going to assume Jeremy is the hotel stalker. I'm a 19-year-old female who's studying in a university in England. The night before moving day, me and my mother stayed in a hotel located in my university town. We were greeted by a friendly man called Jeremy. Jeremy was very attentive and showed us to our room and stayed around 10 minutes telling us the history of the hotel and repeatedly asking us if we needed help unpacking and stuff, which we kindly rejected. It was a Friday, so me and my mother went around the town and had a few drinks. Nothing too heavy, as Freshers Week started the next day, so I wanted to be fresh for the Saturday night. Before going out, Jeremy explained that he never works weekends, so he told us to have a good night and wished me luck the rest of my university journey. He gave me a hug and gave my mother a hug and a slight kiss while moving his hand down towards her bum, which she found weird but brushed it off as nothing. My mom is 37, but looks young for her age. Jeremy's easily in his 40s, so we just thought Jeremy may have fancied his chances with her. But regardless, like, if anyone who worked at a hotel, hugged me, I'd be like, "I don't know you. Why are you kissing my mom?" Moving on, me and my mom have a great night around the town and watch a couple of live bands. We have a few wines, so we're a little on the tipsy side. We get back to the hotel and the bar is still open, so we decided to go have a nightcap. Whilst we're having a drink in the bar, Jeremy emerges from the back room and spots us and makes a couple of jokes. Why? Jeremy then proceeds to watch a video on his phone, full volume, of a woman screaming at the top of her lungs as if she was being murdered. The screaming was blood-curdling and made me and my mom unsettled, and also another couple in the bar looked a little concerned as well. The video went on for 3 to 4 minutes before Jeremy laughed and went into the back. When we make our way to the bed, my mom had taken her shoes off after they had become painful after dancing in the bars earlier. Jeremy emerges from the back room and puts his arm around my mom and says, "Oh, let me help you to your room, honey. You must be wasted after all that drinking." My mom isn't actually that drunk and insists she's fine, but Jeremy persists and basically follows us to our room and proceeds to come in. But I bid him goodnight and close the door pretty much in his face before locking it. The next morning, we're up early and make our way down for breakfast. The young girl working takes our breakfast order, only for Jeremy to bring them out, insisting the egg is cooked to perfection, although he claimed he never worked weekends. Me and my mom are weirded out by Jeremy at this stage, and we check out right after breakfast. Jeremy sees us out and says these exact words, "I'll be seeing you very soon, Christy." It's my mother's name. Anyways, at the time it doesn't strike us as unusual, and my mom drives us to my new home and helps me unpack and stuff. After she helps me unpack, she leaves in the early afternoon as she had worked that evening in our local bar. The rest of the day goes by without much going on. But that night, I'm out drinking with my housemates and I get a call from my mom saying that Jeremy had come into the bar where she works. This is no coincidence, as when we were having our nightcap, Jeremy would have heard us talking about the bar where my mom works, and he also had our address, which needed to be provided at the hotel for whatever reason. He had also said to my mom when she was pouring his pint that she should go around to his friend's house after her shift, which was just around the corner. This call really scared the shit out of me. About a half an hour later, my mom calls me and said that Jeremy had left the bar after she rejected his offer to go to his friend's house later. But Jeremy had said he would be back for her later. Like, what the fuck? This was really worrying for me, and I told her to make sure a customer was with her as she was locking up as she was on her own that evening. After this call, I felt sick, and I didn't join my friends in going to the nightclubs. In the meantime, I called my dad, who no longer speaks to my mom. They aren't on bad terms, they just choose not to keep in contact with each other after they split a few years ago. My dad is a club bouncer, but he wasn't on duty that night. I called him and begged him just to drive down there and make sure she was okay. My dad clearly knew by my shaky voice that I was panicked, scared, and helpless. 1 a.m. rolled around and I didn't get a response from either my mom or my dad's phone. I was worried, sick, and hoped that Jeremy hadn't been waiting around the corner and done something to my mom when she was locking up. Like, I'd be like, this is the worst, you can't not respond to me. This is the worst time for you not to fucking reply to me. At 1:30 a.m., my mom finally rang me in hysterics. As she had been locking up, Jeremy had pulled up in a car with 3 other men and shouted at her to get in the car for a ride. My mom declined his advances and he got out of the car and approached her and told her that he won't tell her again. He said she had been flirting and teasing him ever since she checked in last night. She told Jeremy that's complete bullshit and she wasn't into him at all. As Jeremy got closer to her, she could smell heavy liquor. As Jeremy went to grab my mom, my dad pulls up behind the car and beeps his horn. This causes Jeremy to go back to the car and climb back in and tells my mom that he knows where she lives and he'll be waiting. Oh my god, Jeremy! The car screeches off. My dad then gets out of the car and tells her that I told him to check on her. Scared to go home alone, she asked my dad to drop her off at my grandmother's as she didn't want to be alone. After that night, we never saw Jeremy again, but my mom did make a report to the police about him and gave them a full account of what happened, but she hasn't heard back from them. I'm so relieved that my dad turned up to the pub when he did, as Jeremy would have easily been able to get my mom into that car as she's very small in stature. 5'2", around 120 pounds. I just hope that scumbag got what was coming to him and is behind bars. My mom has been pretty badly affected by this and is only now comfortable being alone in her house. So Jeremy, I hope you rot in hell and let's never meet again. Dude, I take back what I said at the beginning of this where I'm like excited to read these stories because now I'm like, I guess I'm never staying in a hotel ever again. I'm never leaving my apartment, but I say that all the time. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Nar did pretty good throughout this. I thought he would get really needy and I thought he'd want to play and I thought he would be trying to jump on me and stuff. You're probably going to hear him in the background a lot, but I was like, it's going to be the first video I film with him here. So we just have to see what happens. Hopefully things will get back to normal really soon. I'm hopefully gonna have another video up this weekend. That's my plan right now. Like my plan was to film 2 videos for this weekend. I also had a video on Wednesday. Next week it'll probably just be 2 videos again, but I wanted to just get videos out and pretend like I didn't disappear again for a couple weeks. But I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. My jacket's so squeaky. Bye. I just want to play with him. I want to show you guys him, but he's too hyper. He doesn't want me to touch him. Come here. Here he is. Mr. Fairy Universe. Hi, baby. Say hi to the camera. Yeah. He hates me. It's fine. He's like, Mom, leave me alone. I don't want to be in the public eye. And I get it. Except he's sitting on my lap still. So I think that's a good sign. Bye, y'all. Okay. He hates me. See ya.